Hello, everyone. This is Charles Bird. My guest Ben Weir. This is the May 16th, 2023 edition of CONVO. Uh, Ben Weir serves on. He was a candidate for sheriff of Merrimack County in New Hampshire. He was a former California resident. He was on here before to talk about the anti-war rally that he helped organize. Um, Currently, he's a member of the executive committee of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, and they're today. Well, yeah, today, Karlin Borisenko, she aired a 2 hour long quote unquote tell all on the goings on in New Hampshire, and uh, Ben Weir here can, if if he feels like it, and if just Ben, could you just kind of set things straight, put people's minds at ease about what's happening over there, or
Sure. First of all, she went on for 2 hours about this. This is like a 5 minute thing that I can clear up for you guys right now. Also, I don't know who can listen to her for a whole 2 hours, to be honest with you. I say that as her friend and someone who still has room for her in my life as a friend if she
mm,
decides to be my friend again. But um, uh, no, so there's obviously a ton of drama going on with LPNH. 99% of it is concocted by Carlin, and that's where the Twitter drama comes from. Essentially, what this entire situation is that's going on here in New Hampshire with the executive committee. Um, it comes down to bylaws in our policy manual. It has little to nothing to do with a Twitter account. And, while there's Twitter references throughout, essentially at the end of the day, the former chair, who's a good friend of mine who I've spoken to several times since the suspension that he was given by the EC. Um, you know, he made some mistakes, and I'm a guy who likes the structure of things, and I respect bylaws. I respect the policy manual, and um, at the end of the day, he broke a bylaw and was not abiding by two policies in the policy manual. And when asked that during one of our meetings several weeks ago, if he was willing to make a correction and follow that policy that was put into place, um, he point blank just said no, um, because he thought bylaws trumped policy manuals. And someone who knows more about this structure would know policy manuals do supersede a bylaw, because bylaws are intentionally generic and policy manuals are meant to be more specific and to actually point people to real policies that your party has. Um, and, people who are upset about things that get tweeted by Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, sure, they have a right to be upset, I guess. But in my opinion, it's just mean tweets are going to happen no matter what.
mhm.
And we need to be a little bit less sensitive. We're libertarians, we're advocates for free speech, and that doesn't always mean comfortable speech. And you need to say things that are not necessarily, in line with social norms or an SOP, because, like for instance, Libertarian Party New Hampshire, as far as I know, it's one of the only state affiliates that has actually gotten national media recognition over the last year and a half. Now, call it what you will, whether it was negative or good press. that doesn't matter to me. In my opinion, it actually looks like it was more good, because it actually uh, brought people's attention to the free state of New Hampshire and has gotten people encouraged to move here to be a part of the Free State Project. There's obviously been bad as well, but we can all take being called names every once in a while. That's going to happen no matter what. At the end of the day, in New Hampshire, there's no set policy in place. So my goal since the beginning of this last convention, since the last convention ended and I was elected, has been to put a social media policy into place. That's been the goal of the executive committee as a whole and the former chair. And it was the chair's responsibility to make sure this was being followed through with and that it was put into place. This committee is basically put together by people who are both on the communications committee and just delegates from the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire that are concerned and care about this issue. So it's really going to give us like a happy medium. Unfortunately, thus far, there's only been, 1 or 2 meetings to talk about this, but there will be a policy put into place and put into our manual at some point. But until then, there's nothing to hold people accountable to. So anybody who wants to complain is just giving us more problems. And we're trying to create a solution, which is to create a real policy that everyone agrees on. Even the people who made some of the mean tweets that everyone's upset about, even those guys will admit to you that they wish that they could take a few of them back. And, they've stepped up and they've admitted to that. And what else can we do? We all make mistakes. So.
Okay. So, what about say fielding candidates for for local office? Are you guys still gonna do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we are trying to have a plan in place for 2024. Being a presidential year next year here, we'll have a congressional seat opening up. There's no senates to be elected in the state of New Hampshire, and there's a governor spot that's opening up as well. So we're going to look into putting candidates there if it makes sense for us to do so without wasting money and spending too many resources on ballot access, et cetera. But our bigger concerns should be, as libertarians, more on a county and localized level. That would be a county officers such as sheriff's office or things like state rep or state senate even. But when it comes to those type of politics, like, yes, I ran for sheriff last year, right after I moved here, and I learned a lot because I had no experience whatsoever or institutional knowledge about how politics work here yet. But now I came out of that stronger and more knowledgeable, and I know that next year I will be running again for sheriff, and I am looking forward to taking all the knowledge that I got from last year and putting it to the test and doing even more cool things next year. And I know that there's going to be several state rep spots that are up for grabs as well. And hopefully we can get a couple people running for state representative, which actually, if you didn't know, Charles, there's currently about 40 free staters that are elected as state representatives that identify themselves as lowercase l libertarians.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not ashamed in that. It's very much so like what Justin Amash had done, where he, throughout his career, he would identify himself as a libertarian, but he ran as a Republican. Same thing happens here, but there's people both on the Republican and Democratic tickets that are free staters that moved here to make a good difference and make New Hampshire more free. And they actually got elected. Actually, the House Majority Leader for the GOP is a Free Stater, a well-known Free Stater. So, the Free State Project is basically proving itself successful at this point, and there's no reason for me to believe that it's just not going to keep getting better from this point. So the more libertarian candidates that we can put on the ballot to give people options on, the better. And I'm hoping that we can kind of fill up some of the ballots with some good candidates next year. So
Yeah, so yeah, that's very encouraging to hear. That this is a much brighter, more more sunnier picture than what's been painted.
there's definitely no gloom and doom here. People who move here with the Free State Project are extremely optimistic, and we have a bright outlook for New Hampshire. And there's people who will fight against that. Even Sarwark came out in a recent NBC documentary that was put out
Yeah, I
about
saw that.
FSP,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how basically we're snakes and he's a puppy. And and it's kind of hilarious, but people want, I know it sounds funny, but you should watch that clip, man. It's
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
pretty ridiculous.
it
But
is.
you have people like him, and then and I'm not trying to, crap on Carlin or anything like that either, but right now she's not being productive. She's being counterproductive. She's giving more problems than solutions. And right now, what we're trying to do as an executive committee for LPNH, we want to create more solutions. This is the only way we're going to be successful as a party or as a liberty movement at all. And here in New Hampshire, you have countless liberty organizations that work together all the time. Like we have NHLA, which is New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, and their top three advocates and bill readers and graders are members of LP&H, and they grade the bills, and they grade congressmen and all this stuff, and give them ratings, and they basically pass off these recommendations to the House of Representatives and the state Senate, or the state representatives and state Senate. And some of them will vote basically according to however NHLA grades it, based on if it's pro freedom or anti freedom. So we have a big role to play here, and like LPNH is literally at the helm of it. Whether we're winning elections is actually kind of beside the point, because we're winning on everything else. And like especially with things like the Defend the Guard bill, which is basically tabled with the state house right now, until September or October, I believe. But we have organizations. One of my friends, Derek Prue, he's a National Guardsman, or he left the National Guard, but he works for Americans for Prosperity. And he basically has made it his purpose to see Defend the Guard come to fruition in this state. So he's met up with a lot of state reps and state Senate and organizations across the state to try to get some backing behind this. He's going to American Legions and stuff like that to advocate for Defend the Guard. And there's a lot of hope. We do believe New Hampshire could be the first state to actually pass on a state rep and a state Senate level the Defend the Guard bill. So that would be a huge a huge amount of proof that what we're doing here with the Free State Project and with LPNH and all this stuff, it's working and it's winning. So
That's very good to hear, and it's great that you're running for sheriff again.
I'm excited about it. I still have my signs and posters, and
Yeah.
I'll just keep building it up for next year. So
Yeah, more Ben Weir walking tall memes.
well, one of my friends out here too, he made a emo sheriff meme with
Yeah.
like a guy in a cop uniform, but with like emo hair and lip rings and stuff. And I thought that was funny. And then for Halloween, I dressed up as Woody from Toy Story, and I carried around an actual, a 6 gun, a revolver around with me too. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. I got to sing at karaoke, "You've Got a Friend in Me" and everything. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
who says we don't take this stuff seriously?
I mean, levity is good. You know.
You
Yeah,
got to
it's
be
a
able to like laugh at yourself every once in a while, you know?
yeah. Yeah, so New Hampshire versus say California. I'm not just talking about the politics, but like say the culture and the people. Just how different is it from say California, or specifically Sacramento, where you used to live.
Well, you're not going to find anything that's even similar to Sacramento here in New Hampshire. I mean, this is like really like old-timey state, a lot of history here.
Mhm.
Back 16 and 1700s. My house actually, this house right here was the first chapel that was ever built in my town. It was built in 1847. Um and I love being around all that history. Culturally, it's definitely kind of night and day as well. That is the difference between coming from a very left wing state where even people who are Republicans have to kind of pander to get what they want.
Hmm.
Whereas here, this is the live free or die state. You have like Democrats that are passionate about gun rights here. So it's
Yeah.
very, very different in that aspect. And obviously, as a gun
Yeah.
advocate myself, um, that's been huge for me. I love being around this culture. Climate wise, like I heard it was hitting almost 100 degrees out there in Sacramento this last week, and I'm just busting out the lawnmower for the first couple of times here. It's in the 70s. I'm loving it. It's it's been
Yeah.
pretty nice here for at least the climate wise, and even with the winter, we didn't really get our first real snow until the end of January, and um, call it what you will. If it was something like climate change, who's to say that's even a bad thing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if New Hampshire is going to be a few degrees warmer, that kind of helps us out a little bit here. It might make things worse for Sacramento, but
Hmm.
hey, I'm here now. So,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I'm definitely loving it here. Definitely a huge difference. But one that I've welcomed. I was
Yeah.
born and raised in the Northeast in Pennsylvania. Then I lived in Colorado for between 10 and 15 years. And I was only in California for a little less than 5 years before moving here. Um, and even with like Colorado, this is nothing like what I've ever experienced in Colorado, other than maybe on the Western slope. A lot of small towns here, small communities. A lot of things are community driven. My small town here in New Hampshire, it comes together like the house, like there was a house that caught on fire,
Mhm.
and they raised a ton of money just in our small community to give to these people and make sure that the kids didn't want for anything. So definitely, definitely loving it. Definitely a big change. Definitely, it's a change of pace for sure too. So
Yeah. How different would you say New Hampshire is from the surrounding New England Soviet socialist republics?
I went on a show earlier this morning, um, and they brought up that New Hampshire our governor was asking for $1.4 million for border aid because there's a border crisis apparently coming down from Canada, which actually doesn't surprise me, especially after the whole COVID regime and how tyrannical the government was up there. You'd expect people to want to flee away from that country and seek asylum in a freer place.
Yeah,
Um,
it's always been porous, but I remember during the Bush years hearing scare stories about Middle Easterners going into Canada so they can just walk on over to.
See, I'm not worried about Canada here. I mean, Vermont, obviously, that's Bernie Sanders territory. But that's mostly like it's kind of weird because you go into Vermont, like it doesn't really feel like a Democrat state. Um, it kind of feels very similar to New Hampshire in a lot of parts because it's
Hmm,
very mountainous and the towns are few and far between, and
yeah,
nobody really knows their neighbors that well because everything's far apart.
yeah.
But I tell you what, if we did accept aid in our state, um, all I care about is we need to put a wall along the southern border of New Hampshire to keep the Massachusetts folk out. Because those guys are the worst. They're moving here. They're taking our jobs. I'm just kidding. They're moving here and they're actually commuting back to Boston and working out of Boston.
Yeah.
Um, and the Massachusetts is the worst. But and Maine's actually pretty good from what I've seen so far. I don't really know about their politics, but um, it's yeah,
I mean,
it seems like it's pretty good, at least on some issues. So
I don't know who their current governor is, but I remember Rod LePage and Stephen King getting into it because LePage accused King of moving to Florida to avoid having to pay the income tax.
that's funny. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, so a state income tax is something we don't have in New Hampshire, so
yeah,
that's one thing we have going for us up here in New England. But um,
yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure
I mean,
that's
irony alert: LePage is one of those populist Republicans, and Stephen King, if you've not followed him on Twitter, is basically a textbook paint by the numbers Democrat.
like a more moderate Democrat, would you say, or
No,
no?
no.
Oh man.
I mean, it's weird that his politics shaped up that way because when he did write some really good anti-authoritarian stuff like The Running Man and Road Work, but that was under his pseudonym Richard Bachman.
Hmm.
The Long Walk. Yeah, the road work was about eminent domain.
Hmm.
The protagonist gets a letter from Maine's public works department that they're going to eminent domain his house to expand a highway, and he ends up blowing up the crew.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like Killdozer type stuff.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah, so if you can ever find that book, I highly recommend it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as neighbors are concerned, Maine is not at the top of my list of people I need to be worried about.
Mm.
Mostly Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, my grandmother used to say north, west, east, south, country is country.
it's true. The people we really need to be worried about in New Hampshire, though, more than anyone, is the Californians. I tell you
Oh
what,
yeah.
I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yes. We're
I'm just kidding.
we're yeah, we're reverse Midases. Everything we touch turns to.
I know. Colorado turned into California 2.0, and but I'll say anyone who cares about liberty and libertarian principles in California, if you desire libertarian concentration that is actually showing progress and good signs of winning, you need to go to the libertarian homeland, and that's New Hampshire. there's no better place to be. People are worried about the snow and the cold. I'll tell you what, it wasn't that bad. Like I just said, it really wasn't that bad
Yeah.
this winter. So
I mean, we have snow and cold in you know, the Sierra Mountains and out by the Tahoe area. I mean, it's
yeah, it's true.
well, yeah, and probably more snow and cold than where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like my family in Colorado, they got substantially more snow and cold than we got here in New Hampshire. So
Yeah.
I can't complain about anything.
Hmm.
It's overall like climate wise, it's been pretty good for me. It's not California. I work outside because I work construction. Working outside in 100-degree heat for 3, 4, 5 months straight, that's just not my thing, man. It's
Yeah.
hard to do, and you can only take off so many layers of clothing. You can always
Yeah.
put on a hoodie if you get a little chilly. So
Yeah. I mean, California is like the only state where you can, ski in the morning, play golf in the afternoon in the Central Valley, and then party at the beach in the evening,
yeah,
all within a 24-hour span.
yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, it's been a year you know since Reno. Do you think things have gotten better since the takeover, or
I'm coming from someone who's still like a friend of the Mises Caucus. That
Mhm.
I'm not no longer an organizer with the Mises Caucus, but I have a lot of respect for a lot of the people that are in it and work with it. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I know that they just had the Take Human Action tour. I don't know if that really went too well, but at the end of the day, in terms of the actual Libertarian Party, um, the messaging has been better. I don't really know as much about the changes on the infrastructural side, what all's been happening. I know there's some staff changeover, and that's got to be rough for anybody, no matter what side of it you fall on.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to really harp on that. If you expect people to treat this as a business, because it is a business,
Hmm.
they're going to have to make hard decisions. And it's something that I do not envy Angela for at all. She has a really hard job, and
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it, and I would never put myself through that, especially after she just had a kid too. Oh man.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to seeing her at Pork Fest out here. So
Yeah.
word is that she's going to be out here for that. So in terms of like direction of the party, I have no reason to not be optimistic. I've seen the charts with like membership declining, but every chart I've seen, if it goes back a certain amount, it goes down and it ticks right back up during
It
presidential years. So
yeah, that's how historically that's how it went historically. And I've not heard any of those people complain when that happened, when Sarwark and Bishop
right,
Henchman were chair.
right. And bottom line is it's been 50 years that we've been a party in this state,
Hmm.
Libertarian Party. And I something I'm not optimistic about is I don't know if we have another 50 years to play this game as a party. Because
Because the country might not have another 50 years.
that's where I'm going with that. Yeah. Like well, I'll take any victory we can get. Any direction closer to
Yeah.
personal freedom and economic freedom. I'll take every win we can get. Um, when it comes to political action, I know they had the big war rally at DC, which looked like it went really well.
It did.
And I wish I could have been there for that. But like I'm not optimistic about the country. I guess I'll see. We'll see what lies ahead for us. I hope
Hmm.
that that the Libertarian Party continues to progress and the messaging stays,
Yeah.
based and doesn't go back towards a
Yeah.
milk toast direction. That's I guess that's a win for me. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know what will, what will happen with, the country within, 25 to 50 years, but, miracles happen. I don't know if you're a believer, but I am.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do believe miracles can happen. And, I'll say that, when it hits the fan finally, we need to make sure that we have a strong community. That's the most important part of all of this. We need to have
Yeah.
decentralized um, ways to reach out to people and connect with people. Because when everything else falls apart, us libertarians are the ones that are going to be there to help put it back together, or at least just be there for each other in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
So,
I like the whole freedom cell concept. You know, people in the community, neighbors, just getting together and
yeah,
pulling resources,
have a rally
and
point
yeah,
and collect what you can, water, food.
yeah,
It's not even like end of the world survivalist stuff.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
basic farming,
I mean,
you know?
and you don't even have to like organize it yourself. I mean, when I moved here to the airport district in Modesto, I mean, there's already like a bunch of people who just kind of look out for each other.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
man, I got to tell you, I keep bragging about how awesome New Hampshire is. That is one of the best parts about New Hampshire. The community here is insane. Every day of the week, you have 5 to 10 competing liberty events from the Free State Project or Free Staters. And you know, it's where this isn't California where it takes 10 to 12 hours to go from the northern border to the southern border. For us to go to Vermont to Maine takes like an hour and a half to 2 hours tops.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I say libertarians are concentrated, I mean that like we have a community. Like there's the New Movers potlucks that happen at the Quill, which is a libertarian clubhouse in Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and any given week, you have 30 plus people there to greet new movers, to just talk about their libertarian businesses, to introduce, and just get together, man. Like they get together and they shoot guns and talk about farming and homesteading, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what this is about. We just need to be there for each other. So
Yeah. Yeah. So New Hampshire. I mean, what was I going to say? Reno, right?
yeah.
So what was like your best recollection of the convention?
Man, I I gotta say that it was a long, brutal weekend, and I didn't sleep barely a wink.
Yeah,
So the end of it, I remember a lot less of than the beginning of it. I know
yeah.
that there was a lot of stuff going on about the like the abortion plank and all the stuff
Hmm.
with the platform. People were upset about that. Um,
Yeah.
the
I was in the room during the I was in the room when the infamous shoulder bump happened.
yes,
I mean,
I'll
I didn't see
never.
it myself because it was like way over there, and the California delegation was like way over here.
Yeah, I'll never lose that video though. I have access to that video, and I'll never lose that video, man. That is a funny video. But I'll say,
I just show that to some of my friends here in California. Yeah, this guy used to be chair of the third largest political party in the country, and this is how he's behaving.
what's really funny too is me and JD, who's a guy who was from New Hampshire but moved to Arizona, and we shared a room, um, and we ended up getting a room right next to Jackie and Daryl Perry.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
They walk out of their room. I'm wearing a Mises Caucus hoodie, and she has a full witch hat on and
Oh
a
yeah.
dress and all this stuff, right?
Yeah,
And she's going
like
over to
something
the
from out of Harry
LP&H.
Potter. Yeah.
Yeah, she went over to like the LP&H table and tried to put a hex on them and did all this stuff. And then I checked my messages the next day at like 2 o'clock in the morning. She like messaged me on Facebook because I had made a post on Facebook somewhere about how I was rooming next to them, and I said in captions, "Snuffling of the underbrush ensues" or something like that, based off of something that she had said a long time ago. And then she like writes me on Facebook and she's like turn to this channel if you want to see two lesbians snuffling underbrush. And I'm like this is just gross behavior from a gross
Yeah.
human. Like I
Yeah.
don't need that. And
Yeah.
I basically told her, I was like, you're gross and you're not welcome to participate in the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire in any capacity whatsoever for the ongoing future, as long as I'm here. Uh, and I don't say that to people because I believe this is a big tent, but this isn't a big enough tent for Jackie Perry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there were a couple of people I had to do that to, and you know, locally,
I
and
remember Matthias or whatever his name is.
yeah,
That guy.
he disappeared. And yeah, there was I mean, there was that Van Tynen guy that
Mm.
you know,
Yep.
I don't think I've ever encountered him face to face, or maybe if I did, it was in passing. But yeah, I mean, I posted an article in the LP of Stanislaus Facebook group. It was actually an article that Zach Kincaid had written for the Mises Caucus about the lockdowns, and yeah, I had to like remove that guy from the group because I just don't put up with that.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I don't put up with caucus. I do not put up with caucus warfare in my county affiliate.
no, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't. And it ends up looking a lot more like a cult and a lot less like a caucus at some point too. Because like no matter what side of it you fall on, like obviously we have our principles, and it kind of turns into a religion if you follow it too closely and in a certain way. And it people
Yeah.
will blindly follow people in some cases, like especially with the Lewis Brigade and the Pragmatic Caucus and all that
Mhm.
stuff. Um,
Yeah.
those guys like
The
backed the dumbest people with no substance whatsoever. And
mhm.
yeah, it
Yeah.
turns into just ridiculous drama. And that's one thing we have way too much of is LP drama. So
Yeah. 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 In in my affiliate, things are getting things are just very slow, but I think interest will pick up now that there's a presidential election year around the corner. There's going to be a gun show this fall that I'm hoping that we could get to table that would really generate interest.
that's awesome.
I've also been using the affiliates Facebook page to troll the Modesto Bee and,
Nice.
and Modesto Progressive Democrats and stand GOP.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's how you do it right there.
yeah, I actually got Modesto Progressive Democrats to admit they don't care about rights.
Hey, keep the receipts. That'll come in handy someday.
Oh, I did. I made a meme of it and put it up on Twitter and on the affiliate page.
Nice. Nice.
Oh yeah, it was really great getting to see all the people that I had only known from online at Reno.
Yeah, it's good to make the face connection to
Hmm.
people from just social media encounters. It's definitely good to have that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, Karen Ann, you could actually just feel the warmth whenever she enters a room.
She's such a great, warm-hearted person.
Oh yeah,
She's really a
yeah,
good lady.
yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
you're gonna make it to the DC convention?
Uh, I'll do whatever I can.
I know it's on the other side of the country, so it's
Yeah, I've been looking at train. I've been looking at train tickets. I've been looking at Greyhound. Supposedly, in theory, I could get there in 2 days if I go there by bus. Uh, uh,
it's a lot of travel. That's a lot of sleeping on a bus too.
yeah. In theory, I could do it in 2 days. Yeah, I just as for flying, I don't know how. I just don't know what how Biden's new round of regulations on air travel is going to affect that. I mean, it looks like it's just going to make everything a whole hell of a lot more expensive, even though it's really damned expensive enough as it
Just over
is.
the last few years, the price of airline tickets has gone up like almost 100%. It's been crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I mean, for me to get out to Reno, um, I want to say it was costing uh close to $1,000 just for round trip tickets.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even able to make it back to the California convention because at that time I was actually um trying to my brother works for Southwest now, and he was going to put me on his benefits so I could fly for free out there. But like it was over a holiday weekend, every single flight filled up, and uh just couldn't happen. It literally went down to the last minute. Up until that Wednesday I was gung-ho, and then Thursday came around and I said I got to cancel. All the flights filled up. So kind of stinks, but traveling is hard, especially when the government has its hand in regulating
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I had a great time in Sacramento, and it was great getting to be there to see the complete takeover. I got them to pass a resolution condemning the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office for not seeking charges against Officer Sam Muncy, who had killed Paul Chavez.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and that was a big milestone for me there too.
that's
Um,
awesome.
and it was really fun. Adrian winning share by 69 votes.
Or 69%, right?
Yeah, like 69%. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I saw that. I was
Yeah.
following along online as much as I could.
Yeah, and then I turn to my left, and the entire Hanford Mafia gets out of their chair and walks out to the lobby.
Oh man, that's crazy. Hopefully they just disappear.
Oh, they are. Yeah, it's Kings County is defunct now.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's nuts. Well, I mean, I like the I'll say I like the culture change that's happened in the Libertarian Party. Um, what I do hope now, though, is I'm not hoping for pragmatism in a lot of ways. I'm hoping that a lot of the people who bought into the whole Mises Caucus is bad syndrome, um, I hope that they come around and see that we're
Mhm.
the good guys here. We're Ron Paul Revolution 2.0, and we are capable of making political difference and taking actual human action. And that's what this is about. that's why we took over the party, is because not enough human action was being done. And
Yeah.
now that we're here, I hope that we can prove it by our actions and not just by our words, that we're here to get the job done and do it efficiently. So,
Okay. Okay, so on that note, I guess we'll be wrapping it up. So can I put your Twitter down in the description?
yeah, sure. The emo and cap. Yep.
All right. Great. All right. So it was great talking to you. I hope we end up seeing each other in person again.
We will,
Maybe
brother, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think the next California convention is going to be in Fresno. Um,
Okay.
and then there's DC. Yeah, and there's some sightseeing I want to I hope I get to put in if I can secure enough time and get there
Yeah.
soon enough and you know,
No,
but we'll see,
absolutely.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
I appreciate you having me on, and I hope I didn't annoy you with all my libertarianism and New Hampshire is amazing talk. But
Yeah.
you know, I hope someday you can make it here too, man. It'd be awesome to have somebody as based and principled as you out here as well. But I know we'll see each other again regardless, and I really appreciate you having me on your show, buddy.
All right. All righty.